Welcome back to the channel. Today we're tackling a battle that's flown under the radar, the Battle of the Frigidus River. Fought on September 5th and 6th, 394 AD, near what's now the Vipava Valley in western Slovenia. This was more than a military showdown. It was a clash that decided the fate of the Roman Empire, locked in Christianity as its dominant force, and exposed the cracks in Rome's foundations. We've got a lot to cover: context, players, the fight itself, and what it all meant, so let's dive in. First, the big picture. By the late 4th century, the Roman Empire was a shadow of its old self. It had been formally split into two since 285 AD under Diocletian, the Western Roman Empire, based in Italy, and the Eastern Roman Empire, ruled from Constantinople. The West was struggling. Raids from Germanic tribes, economic decline, weak emperors. The East, though, was holding stronger thanks to better resources and geography. Enter Theodosius I, Eastern Emperor since 379. He was a hardliner, ruthless, devout, and determined to keep the empire together. Theodosius made waves in 380 when he issued the Edict of Thessalonica with his Western co-emperor Valentinian II. It declared Nicene Christianity the only legitimate religion. Pagan temples got shut down, sacrifices banned. This wasn't just policy, it was a power play to unify the empire under one faith. But the West wasn't fully on board. Old-school Roman senators and aristocrats clung to pagan traditions, and they'd soon get their chance to push back. Fast forward to 392. The Western Emperor, Valentinian II, was a young guy, only 21, under Theodosius's thumb. He'd been sidelined to Vienne in Gaul, while a Frankish general named Arbogast ran the Western military. Then, Valentinian turns up dead, hanged in his palace. Suicide, murder, historians still argue. Zosimus, a 5th century pagan writer, hints Arbogast had him killed. Either way, Arbogast couldn't take the throne. Barbarians weren't eligible, so he picked a stand in Eugenius, a mild-mannered ex-teacher turned figurehead. Eugenius was a Christian on paper, but he courted Rome's pagan elite. He reinstated funding for pagan temples and let the old guard flex their influence, moves that enraged Theodosius. Arbogast, the real power, was a career soldier with a loyal army, Western legions, auxilia and Gothic mercenaries. Together, they controlled Italy and defied the East. Theodosius saw this as rebellion and a threat to his Christian empire. He wasn't going to let it slide. In 394, Theodosius mobilized. He pulled together an army, 20,000 to 30,000 strong, though exact numbers are shaky. It was a mixed force. Eastern Roman troops hardened from border wars, plus a big contingent of Visigoths led by their king, Alaric. These Visigoths were Fiederati barbarian allies settled in the empire after a treaty in 382. Alaric was ambitious, and this was his first big gig under Roman command. Theodosius marched them across the Balkans through rugged terrain, aiming for Italy. The armies met at the Frigidus River, likely the modern Vipava or a nearby tributary. It's a narrow valley in the Julian Alps with steep slopes and a cold, fast-flowing river. Eugenius and Arbogast arrived first with 25,000 to 35,000 men. Their force was solid, disciplined Western legions, local recruits, and their own Gothic mercenaries. Arbogast, a tactical pro, set up a defensive line across the valley's eastern end, using the terrain to bottleneck Theodosius' approach. It was a smart play. Day 1, September 5th, kicked off rough for Theodosius. He sent his Visigoths, around 10,000, straight at Arbogast's position. Why? Maybe to test the line, maybe to spare his regulars. It didn't work. Arbogast's troops held the high ground, pelting the Visigoths with arrows, javelins and rocks. The eastern follow-up faltered too. Sources like Zosimus say Theodosius lost nearly half his army, maybe 10,000 men, though that's probably exaggerated. By dusk, Eugenius's camp was buzzing with victory vibes. Arbogast didn't budge, expecting a mop-up job. Day 2, September 6th, flipped the script. A windstorm hit, the Bora, a regional phenomenon with gusts that can top 100 miles an hour. It blew east to west, right into Eugenius's army. Dust blinded their archers, shields got torn from hands, and cohesion broke down. Theodosius saw his shot. He rallied his battered troops, Visigoths included, and launched a full assault. The wind disrupted Arbogast's defense just enough. Theodosius's men punched through. The battle collapsed into chaos. Eugenius's forces shattered. He tried to flee but was caught and beheaded on the spot. Roman usurpers didn't get mercy. Arbogast escaped into the Alps, but with no army left, he stabbed himself days later. Casualties are a guess. Zosimus claims massive losses on both sides. Orosius downplays Theodosius's dead to hype the win. Either way, the west was Theodosius's by sundown. Theodosius marched into Italy, the last emperor to rule a united Rome, but it was short-lived. He fell ill and died in Milan, January 17, 395, at 47. His sons, Arcadius 17 and Honorius 10, took over Arcadius in the east, Honorius in the west. The empire split again, permanently this time. The west limped on until 476. The east became Byzantium. But Frigidus wasn't just about territory. It was a religious watershed. Christian historians went big on this. Theodoret and Augustine called the wind a divine act, God siding with Theodosius against paganism. Eugenius's defeat crushed the Senate's pagan faction. Their influence died out. This wasn't Christianity's start in Rome. Constantine got that going in 312, but it was the end of organized pagan resistance at the top. There's more layers. The Visigoths took a beating on day one, some estimate 5,000 dead. That might have strained their loyalty. Alaric stuck with Rome for now, but by 401 he was raiding Italy, and in 410 he sacked Rome itself. Frigidus showed Rome's dependence on barbarian allies. Both sides used them, and how fragile that balance was. The empire was outsourcing its defense, and it had come back to bite. What do we know for sure? Not as much as we'd like. Zosimus, a pagan, griped about Theodosius's luck and barbarian help. Orosius, a Christian, framed it as a holy triumph, skimping on details. Theodoret added the miracle angle. None give precise troop counts or a full play-by-play. Modern historians, like Peter Heather, peg the armies at 20,000 to 35,000 each, with losses in the thousands. The winds roll, real but exaggerated by propaganda. Zoom out, and Frigidus fits a bigger story. It's late antiquity in a nutshell. A shrinking empire, religious upheaval, barbarian integration. It secured Theodosius's legacy. He's the Great for a reason. But it couldn't stop Rome's decline. The west was too weak, the east too distant. And those Visigoths, they'd help finish the job. It's a battle that deserves more ink than it gets. That's the Battle of the Frigidus River, a brutal, windswept pivot point in history. Did the Bora win it, or was Theodosius just better prepared? How much did it really change Rome? Let me know what you think in the comments. If you're hooked on late Rome, Alaric's rise, Arbogast's fall, whatever, say so. Subscribe for more deep dives, and I'll catch you in the next one.